this time. The usual.
This is the Open Mic Podcast. I'm Noah Jones with Works on the Source. Taj Torrence is a major asset to the Mansfield music scene. One of the top performers in the local hip-hop rap scene, he also moonlights as a recording artist with Pack Recordings. We sat down in his recording studio to talk. Here is our interview.
We both know I get the win. Taj and Finn back on they shit again. Yikes, tell them we go back like brakes on pedal bikes. And I skip the heights. This is more authentic than a game jersey with a bad broad, and they call it how I see it. Either niggas nuts or somebody need to tell them all. Hop off my penis, my walk the cleanest. Yo, talk the cheapest. These bloodsuckers killing me. Yo, all these leeches.
Taj, I mean, you know, we're pretty good friends now, so I mean, it's sort of funny interviewing you in this regard, but I mean, you're pretty big in the music world of Mansfield, but talk to me a little bit about who and what Pack Records is. That's you and several other people, correct?
Yeah, Pack Recordings is me, my cousin Kamaris K. Mees, he was mentioned in the album a lot, and my brother E.
Okay, cool.
Pack Recordings.
Awesome. And what are you guys doing with that label?
Well, Pack in itself is a brand, and Pack Recordings is a branch of that. You know what I mean? It's basically the umbrella that Taj Torrence falls under. You know what I mean? As in belonging to an entity other than myself, you know what I mean, or creating a movement. It's going to be PAC, which stands for People of Another Kind.
Okay.
And, you know, through all of the audio work, the visual work, we want to push that as the brand that I'm with. You know what I mean? I don't want it to just be Taj Torrence hats or like Taj Torrence whatever, you know, like, you know,
That's
rather
cool.
it be something a little bit more powerful, something a little bit more indirect, I'd say.
I was too small when I started, nobody believed me, till I shook the hood with my CDs, now they see me. Niggas wasn't giving me beats or selling me beats like...
Your newest album that dropped, I think, earlier this week, right?
Yeah.
What day did it drop? It was
13th.
That album, Sounds from the Top Floor, has, what, 16
yes,
songs on it? Just a crazy amount of songs. And
when
we were talking yesterday when you performed at Richardson Source that you normally have that many songs on a CD. So that must mean that you're pretty good at songwriting.
Yeah,
it's pretty
man.
frequent, huh?
Yeah, the last few like releases as far as albums that I put out, 3 in a row I believe have been 18 songs. I usually try to get 40 to like pick from at least. You know what I mean? So like even between the throwaways from the old album, like, you know, I just got a vault of music.
Okay, so I was going to ask that. You have, I mean, presumably everyone who writes a song has at least a few that they dislike. I know I've thrown out more than my fair share of songs they don't like. What do you do with those? Do you just forget about them, or do you continue to rework them with them until they're perfect?
Well, they, in no way, sense, or form do I ever delete. You know what I mean? So even if I don't like it, I'll put it in a folder, and then years later, I'll come back and hear it, and that goes for beats that I produce as well.
I might take a knee during the pledge. What the prayers gonna do when the feds kill Fred? Then you probably just tweet some he said, she said. Don't you see we dead? The justice is due. Fuck the status is what the status is with the truth. It's right here in the booth, so I'ma bring it to you. These people soldiers and y'all ain't showing respect to the troops. Elected a goof who treat us like we lesser than you. Sons of bitches on the field, good people at the schools with that yelling white power wearing swastikas too. Okay, police don't raid unless it's a crew of young blacks crying out from the cracks. Don't shoot, we disrespecting the flag by putting this.
For example, one of the most powerful records on the album, Misunderstood. That beat, I believe I made maybe last year or maybe even the year before that, but I opened the file and it just sounded relevant to what was going on. Like at the time, I just thought that the static and the beat, you know, on the clap, I thought it was a cool sound. And then when I got into album mode and I heard the static, it visually brought me somewhere. You know what I'm saying? As in relation to the times that we're living in and what I'm seeing around me right now, it made more sense than just being a cool sound. You know what I mean? So it helped paint the picture with the, you know, of what the song was about. So some things you just gotta let grow on you, man. Right. Even songs, you know. I'm my own toughest critic. I'm just glad to have great musical talents around me and ears, people that listen with their heart and stuff and tell me, man, I feel that. You know what I mean? Like, you need to do something with it. So.
Well, my album that I wrote, that you recorded for me,
sir.
Actually, that was sort of a story. It goes sort of, it's a love story, right? Going from being broken up with to being with a new person.
Right.
Does your album tell a story, or do they sort of just all are they all individual pieces in that regard?
You know, what's funny is the more that even I listen to it, it makes sense to me more as far as the grand scheme, the whole, the album as a whole, you know? Like, a lot of the songs I try to make themed, you know what I mean? And I think by accident, this album made the most sense, you know, as in terms of like me and my moods, my life at 25, you know what I mean? It was the most reflective piece of work that I made. And then the song that I begin with is just like, I really wanted it to catch people. I wanted it to be aggressive. I wanted it to be disruptive. You know what I mean? And
it starts the rock and roll
beat.
Yeah,
exactly.
It caught my attention at first. I thought I selected the wrong song. When I was trying to listen
exactly,
to it,
bro.
So yeah.
So that, and then to the last song being like, you know, where the last words I say on the album is, I know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go home. I'm gonna get my keyboards. I'm gonna get my stuff, and I'm gonna just go. You know what I mean? And that's where I'm at right now. You know, so it went from, even in the album, just like, you gotta listen to this, to, you know, being self-assured at the end of it, you know, and knowing what you got and knowing you gotta do something with it.
Mirror, mirror on this wall of mine, show me more than my reflection. I got a couple questions. Will I reach my dreams, or will I stay here stressing? I'm in gear, cause I done spent a lot of years stressing. I was too small when I started, nobody believed me, till I shook the hood with my CDs, now they see me.
My favorite song on your album that I've gotten to listen to, and unfortunately it's so new that I still have yet to really remember any of the lyrics or the words, but I really appreciate the most your song Many Moons.
Yes.
I just am really into that whole style of rap that means something, as opposed to just like trying to get you to dance to it, like the real think pieces. Can you talk to me a little bit about what that song is about to you and what it means?
Yeah, Many Moons. The first, foremost, the most beautiful thing about it is that it was produced by my younger brother, you know, my blood brother, and like, it was such a personal record. You know what I mean? It was about my growth, man, and and staying consistent, you know, through the doubt, and like not really realizing what you had back then, which goes towards making you who you are now. You know what I mean? Even as an artist or as a person, you know what I mean? Like, I think it was healthy for me to reflect in this tape, you know what I mean? Because it's such a personal tape that I had to give people history, you know what I mean? The new listeners, you know, I'm telling them where I'm at, where I started, how long I've been doing it, you know what I mean? And I think it added a lot to the spirit of the tape.
We've spoken a few times before about how you sort of have a big picture in mind for music in Mansfield. You told me one time you would love to sort of bring back the attention to Ohio specifically. Can you talk to me a little bit about how you're doing that?
Yeah, basically reaching out, crossing genres. I do everything that I do creatively, musically, bro, starts from a point of just wanting to innovate music. You know what I'm saying? Wanting to do something new, wanting to rock people's world musically. You know what I mean? And like, I feel like that has to happen through collaboration. You know what I mean? Like, it's so much talent around, and there's no point in having a toolbox if the hammer's in here and the nails are in there in the other room, and you know what I mean, and all of that, man. And I think that we could have a steady stream of great music come out of Mansfield. There's that much talent, you know what I mean? So I think it could have a Motown type feel to it, man. And I think people would be very interested in hearing us, you know, and hearing our perspective, because we all grew up, you know, musically with like the same resources and stuff in town, you know, and then you get to see how it shaped each artist, you know what I'm saying? We all grew up, we all saw the ups and downs of Mansfield as a city, you know what I mean? So what did that do for the folk singer? What did that do for the rapper? You know what I mean? What did that do for the rock and roll artist?
It also is a benefit that we have so many opportunities to put our music out there.
Yes.
Like Spotify, Bandcamp,
And
SoundCloud even. And you're so reachable now.
Yes.
As a musician, you're not just stuck in Mansfield.
Right.
You could be on the same platform as big singers. Beyonce,
Exactly.
Jay-Z.
Yeah. I tell people that all the time too, man. I tell them it's really a privilege for us to be able to do that, because now what separates you from Kanye West? Y'all both have records in the same store.
That's
you know what I mean? What separates you from any singer? You know, any quote unquote big singer. You know what I mean? Like,
no, yeah, I think you're absolutely correct, and I do think that's one real privilege of being, at least like a part of these times as a musician.
Yes.
I would like to talk to you a little bit about your career as to right now. I know that you've done shows in prisons. Was it in Mancy or Ricky or
Mancy?
Okay, what was that like? Because you were young, right?
Yeah.
You were in your what?
Yes,
18,
sir.
20, 19?
I believe the first time I was 17,
Okay.
17 or 18. And of course, man, when I'm walking in, I'm nervous.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm
Were
in
you a
a
little
jail.
scared?
And I've never been arrested, you know what I mean?
Right.
Never really been to jail. Seen a jail, a real jail, you know? And I'm walking in and I'm like, oh, snap, I'm in a jail. Like, I'm shaking when I'm getting there. And so as I walk in, I set up, you know, do my mic check. And I'm like, I know this is important. This is important. This is not important even just for me. This can really shift some of these broken people in here. You know, if I put that positive power into it, you know what I mean? So the prisoners, you know, they start coming in and they're sitting down, the inmates, and in the first two songs, like the first song, I start and I notice how comfortable everybody looks. And I could read that. I said, okay, they're probably seeing this like, oh, here's another program we gotta sit through for Black History Month or whatever. Okay, oh cool, kid raps. And I wanted it to be more than that, because it was more. I accepted the opportunity because it meant more to me than that, you know. And I really wanted to touch somebody with the music, you know. So at the point when it got there the most, where it was just becoming a thing, like I went into the middle of where everybody was sitting, and I went to the middle and I closed my eyes and I just blacked out. I just made myself completely vulnerable, you know what I mean? Like completely vulnerable. It was like I was at home in my room with the music blasting, and how what I felt about what I was saying, I had to project that. I knew I had to project confidence. I knew I had to project, you know, the fact that I was sure in what I was doing. And the fact that I made myself vulnerable. The biggest lesson I took from that in my whole career performing was like, I learned that you have to make yourself vulnerable for your audience to become vulnerable. You know what I mean? After I performed and did that, man, people were raising their hands after the songs and like, hey man, my mom just passed away. Can you freestyle about moms real quick? And we're in a prison, like, and people are talking like they're completely vulnerable at that point. And it was just the most beautiful thing, man, you know. And it was interesting because as I look into the crowd of the inmates, I see my best friend, you know, I see my brother's best friend, I see family, you know, and I knew I had the power to take them out of that place for a little bit, you know. So that's obviously helped influence your performing skills. Outside of that, obviously, I think you're a wonderful performer. You really know how to get a hold of the crowd. I remember you performed earlier this season for Richland Sources After Hours, and I don't think I've seen the crowd as into it before. Usually people just go into there and they you know, they drink the beer, they eat the food, and they socialize, and the music ends up almost being a background music. But for you, you had them participating, clapping their hands, raising their arms, waving around, singing along. It was great. So can you just talk to me a little bit about what it means to you to be able to perform and get a big reaction like that, and
how much easier it's become for you to get there?
To me, performing, this is why I tell new people that ask me about performing, like, for advice, tell them this is your chance to be ridiculous. You know what I mean? This is your chance to be whatever you want to be. People are saying, here's a stage to perform. You know what I mean? This is the place where what you do in your mirror, you get a chance to really see how people react to that. You know what I mean? This is your chance to be that star. You know what I mean? To project that, to be confident, to be, put a little swag in it, a little bit more than you may be in your everyday life. This is your opportunity to be the best you. And you may not know, man, I started doing stand-up comedy.
I did know that.
Yeah.
I had forgotten all about that. Yeah. Talk to me a little bit more about that. Man. I forgot all about that.
I started doing stand-up comedy at 11, 12 years old.
Okay.
And I had my first show at Dixie City Limits, which is right next to where the Pizza Hut used to be on Park Avenue. And the same thing, the exact same thing that happened at the prison happened there. Now that I'm talking about it, I'm even realizing. I went in there, and people, I got on stage there. Yeah, they got a kid in here, awesome, cute, ha ha ha, funny, cute. Look at them. And I felt that. I knew they weren't really laughing. You know what I mean? They weren't really laughing. So it was my mission to make them really laugh and to make them feel like it was okay to laugh. You know what I mean? So that definitely helped my performance as far as being able to take the stone face from the audience, because to make someone genuinely laugh is the hardest thing, you know what I mean? And to stay persistent, to stay going in that direction, even if it's not happening at that moment, you keep pressing, and you can, and it sounds a little weird, but you can trick your audience, you know what I mean? You can make them believe something's real if you're pushing for it that much, and that's what I try to do when I get people to think it's okay to dance. It's okay to look at me, I'll two-step, you know what I mean, as I'm performing, because it is okay to. I'm doing it and everyone's watching me, you know what I mean? Go ahead. If you feel it, move. If you want to yell. We can be ridiculous right now, and really it's become like a second home for me. You know what I mean? I wouldn't even say the stage, just that place in myself. You know what I mean? Like, to just go there and have that mission to make people feel good and to make people feel comfortable and to make people really listen at the same time. You have to emphasize, with your body language, you have to make yourself vulnerable, man. And that's what I learned back then.
Awesome. Is there anything else that you wanted to talk about regarding Sounds on the Top Floor or anything else we've spoken about today?
Man, I could go all day, man. I just want to say that I'm very proud of this project. Man, just before the release of it, so much turmoil. You know what I mean? Like, it's as if something was trying to get me to not release this. You know what I mean? Like, my new Mac crashes on me. Man, now I don't have access to 200 beats to choose from, including songs to pick from. I don't have access to that within a week and a half or 2 weeks or whatever to the release. And then my phone breaks. So I can't promo, I can't be on the gram, how I want to and talk about it. And the night that I uploaded it to Bandcamp, the minute that I hit publish, my computer froze up. Because I believe at that time I had open Photoshop and I had just made the last changes to the cover. And the minute that I hit that, man, my computer freezes. It freezes. I'm like, okay, it usually bounces back by now. And I hit Control-Alt-Delete. It doesn't work, so I kind of power it off. And when I power it back on, it's like, startup operating system not found. Please install new operating. Please install operating system. So, man, I am, like, at this time, like, no. Like, what is going on? Like, literally, I'm like, what is going on? And,
cried.
man, I was almost there. But, you know, I'm like, man, what is going on? And so I released it. I put it out. And just me being the engineer of the whole project, I'm hearing things in there that I'm like, damn, I wish I could turn that down.
Right.
Or like, oh, I wish I could turn that up. And I couldn't because my computer was messed up. But that made it even more beautiful to me. You know what I mean? Like, it made me accept it as it is and, like, really embrace it. Embrace the scratches and the bruises on it. You know what I mean? And I think it's literally the most important album I've ever made on so many levels. You know, from the song Misunderstood about police brutality and our president and just the state of the world right now from my perspective, to songs like Frustration and Insomnia, where I'm literally like I called K-Mees after my computer crashed or whatever, and I'm like, bro, man, it's up. I'll post something on Facebook. I'll post something on Twitter, bro. I got the worst headache. Right now. I think it's just from looking at this screen for 48 straight hours. I got the worst headache, man. I'm going to have to get to you tomorrow with this. Just push it for me, please. Look out. And on Frustration, Insomnia, the words, frustration, head aching, just waiting on ways to release it, make it cohesive. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was literally, after I made the song, living that. Like, I'm literally trying to think, how am I going to release this? What's the best way to release this? Head aching, frustrated, my computer stopped. You know what I mean? And then Insomnia of being like, about wondering how it's going to be received. You know what I mean? So in that sense, I think it was not even a reflective song. Well, let me say, it was not a song about my past. It was a song about my tendencies now.
Gotcha.
You know? And it was true. I was manifesting it through actions, you know? And, man, I just want to thank everyone that was involved, man, and everyone that's checked it out. And I'm just getting started. I mean, if you love this, wait.
All right, sounds great. Well, thank you very much for joining the Open Mic Podcast, Taj.
Yes,
you want to tell people how they can find your music and get a hold of you?
Yes. On Twitter, I'm Taj, TAJ_Torrence, TORRENCE. On Instagram, I'm Taj Torrence, one word. And Facebook.com/Taj Torrence fans. And the album, Sounds from the Top Floor, can be found on my Bandcamp. All you have to do is place Taj Music, one word, dot, in front of bandcamp.com, tajmusic.bandcamp.com. And you can listen to Sounds from the Top Floor.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, man.
Thank you, brother.
Mama wouldn't buy me no white shoes till high school. Then I got cash for my CDs and bought me some sneaks. G-Units, back when G was the way to be. And the best reply to naysayers was wait and see. That shit taught me something like my ABCs. I'ma spell it out. Nah, fuck it, it's just best to get it out, right? You know, I understand, you know, the way I'm going is the road less traveled, but I wanna do it the right way. You know, I've been doing it for a while, man. Spent many moons on this dream of mine, you know? But it's cool though. Everything that built me up to where I'm at right now only made me who I am. And I still got so much more to offer, you know? Yeah. It loves me not. I've seen highs and I've dropped low, from the skies to potholes, realizing I'm not those rappers who can make a whole record about nothing and still feel like I'm hot though. I do this with my life, this music shit from my pops though. The bass was in my ear before I became a snot-nosed kid. I only did it for the props until I got cold with it, got bold with it, said the game's to be sold. I know God made it, so I shall remain on the throne. I took a break to break away and it still feel like home. I got fans, that shit wild to me. I got plans far out to me, sitting in the palm of my hands, no doubt. I got a style, really, I got clout. Ain't trying to put an image out of some shit I ain't bout. Sal was the only scout that